My name is Karthik Santhanam, and I'm the founder and CTO of Cloud Kinetics, a Singapore headquartered cloud services company that we've been in business since 2012. We are very happy to be serving customers in the last many years in Southeast Asia, particularly Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and India and the US. Our focus areas are cloud services, data analytics, app modernization, and enterprise apps. We have done a lot of work in helping customers move their infrastructure and data to the leading public clouds such as AWS, Azure, and Google. And as we see in the last 1 year and more than what we see, the projections are that a lot more customers, enterprise customers, are accelerating their program of migration to the cloud. And we look forward to helping a lot of them with our experience over the last 10 years. Many customers, many organizations are definitely trying to plan very well and try to go to the cloud. And I would say, on average, the success stories are far outnumber the few problems faced by customers, if you will. But having said that, there's a lot of customers. It's become very big now, the cloud stories, and everybody wants to move to the cloud for various reasons. Before moving to the cloud, each company needs to focus on the reasons they are moving. Could be that a tech refresh is due and they want the chance to effect a transformation. They've been buying hardware before and now everybody's talking about it, and they see that a lot of other companies have done a great job and they're reaping the benefits and they want to do that. That's good, one reason. And we don't always see it, but going to the pandemic in the last year and a half almost, or year, definitely the business growth has been probably a little slow, and the business is demanding a lot of cost savings from IT in view of the business climate. That's one reason. So we have seen some customers for whom this has been a great time, with a spurt in business growth. So there's a sudden spurt in business growth and they want an immediate scalability. And of course, some customers want to say, everybody else is doing it. That means, hey, something must be there and my management has mandated me to do it in the next 2 quarters. So I want to go ahead to the cloud. These are all good reasons. Everything has a valid reason. But what are the mistakes? Right? Some of the customers try to achieve a bit of everything. They hear scalability, they hear about the fact that they are spending so much on DR, and they hear cost savings on the cloud, and they want all of this. And I think that going to the cloud will get them everything the same, in an equal proportion. Well, we cannot have all of them. To achieve a high degree of availability and redundancy, we have to architect with a bit more cost. The cloud gives us all the bells and whistles. They give us the tools. How we plan and how we utilize it, how we leverage it is up to us. The mistake other companies sometimes make is they do not focus on what's their priority and what's their most important need that they're moving. We cannot generalize success. We have to measure what's, like I spoke about earlier, is that, am I going because I want to reduce cost? That's my number one priority. So I can architect according to that. There'll be a little bit of compromise somewhere. Am I going because I want scalability? Right? So fix the goal, measure that. How would we measure the success, right? And then you have a benchmark. And then when we prioritize that and we basically focus the migration on that, there'll be success. You cannot generalize that. You'll have to declare success against one or top 2 goals. The thing that I, as a partner, Cloud Kinetics as a partner, really would advise a lot of our customers, based on our experience, is the more info that the customer can share with us, the partners and the OEMs, the better it is for everyone. Right? Typically, sometimes, the partner, it's very important to understand the keyword, it's a partner. They're not just vendors. Right? So more information they share, they know about you, the customer's goals, they'll be able to help better. If all they get is, I want to go to the cloud, give me a quote based on the size and spec, that's all they'll give it, right? What you ask for is what you'll get. But if you have spent more time discussing on what are the key goals, how do you want to achieve this, what is the time frame, I'm sure the partners will go above and beyond. And they also understand, because they've seen a lot of customers like you. We have seen a lot of customers. Right? So sharing more information with partners, that's very important. And this is, I think, some of the mistakes that the customers end up doing. And these are not very big ones. They can easily address this and achieve success with migration. I think businesses need to plan better, of course. When putting a plan, we've worked with a lot of customers and we see that the best migrations happen when there's a lot more time involved in putting a plan. And while using the plan, fit in everything, right? Every goal, every single nuance. First thing, there are a few pointers there, key pointers. You should recognize that one size does not fit all. It's not like AWS is for everybody and Azure is for everyone. If somebody, one of my peers goes to AWS, I should go to AWS. Or just because I have Microsoft Windows, people say Windows, go to Azure. Every organization, every workload even is different. So first recognize that. And the customer, we advise our customers to recognize that all the leading public clouds are good. They're all big companies, have a lot of use cases. They've been there for a large number of years. They invested a lot in the infrastructure. So recognize that leading public clouds provide pretty much all the features that you would want. Let's not fret about who is the best among that. And who's, of course, there'll be a difference in prices, the cost and discount, but that can come later. The focus should be on what are our internal objectives. I cannot say this often enough. What are the internal objectives? Right? Do I have business critical applications that I want to move? Do I have important applications that require zero downtime? What are the latency sensitive? Is my business, in the next 1 or 2 years, going to have customers from out of my country? This is very important for latency. So these are the important things that we want to first write down. Plan our workloads, plan our business. Then we advise our customers. Usually we talk about this during the assessment. And then we help them build a migration plan based on that list. There's a list of, what is the focus on current workload lengths? In terms of priority, that should be number one. What is my workload? What are all the critical ones? So make a list based on critical workloads, which means, we need to make sure that this is the reason we're moving to the cloud. And this needs to sit on the cloud. Otherwise, moving to the cloud makes no sense. On the other extreme, make a list of applications that may not work on them, or a complex migrations, mainframes, etc. Right? So, do I need to modernize my app? My application is running on 15-year-old libraries and versions. Do I need to move that as it is, or do I just phase them out? Make that list. Make a list of critical ones. Make a list of ones that probably will be last and will be more complex, so that you can do an 80-20 rule. Second, for the business critical workloads, do not introduce too many variables. All the cloud partners, sometimes partners even like us, we are very excited to tell the customers all the great things about cloud, modernization, containerization, modular apps, serverless. But for a business critical workload, the first thing is the customers would say, let me go for a lift and shift first. And all the top customer cloud OEMs will also say this. Do not introduce variables. The cloud itself is one variable when you go from on-prem. Focus on that, do the lift and shift, then start to optimize and rebuild it. Right? That's second. Of course, not every migration has to be such a dull affair. It does not have to be something you write down and only follow. There are interesting things. Obviously, customers and the workforce and the customer want to look for the newest and exciting. That's a great opportunity, right? This is the digital transformation opportunity. Look for SaaS alternatives. A lot of old apps you might be using. I'm sure there are better SaaS alternatives now. Look for them and see how they can migrate. Some applications, not the critical ones, use the opportunity to modernize. Discard some legacy apps, as I said earlier. This is something you get into the plan. As I said before again, please share more info with your partner. Let them know what are your concerns, why you want to do this. Let it not be always about, hey, look, I know I'm paying you, so do this, or you only need to know this much. Treat them as your internal IT team. And this is very important for most of the customers who are migrating to the cloud the first time. They really need to be handled by the partners and OEMs. It is cloud resources are difficult to come by, and the partners bring in that varied experience that the customers would need. Right? So that's very important to trust your partner. Last but not the least, prepare for the worst. What I mean by that is there could be, right? So obviously everything is easier. Moving to the cloud is way easier than moving to another data center. And really trust us, we have done quite a bit of that too as well. But when you move to the cloud, there's a lot of simulation you can do. There's a lot of preparation you can do. You can save time. You can migrate a bunch of data before. But nevertheless, You only know when you actually do the final cutover. Be prepared, have the rollback plans. There have been cases when small issues have immediately caused concern for customers, and they said, okay, can you roll back? And at that point, there's no, it's better to roll back and go for the next week. And a lot of customers have less than 2 hours, if at all, downtime available on a Saturday night for us to help do the final cutover. So if it's not this Saturday, it's the next Saturday night. So have a rollback plan ready. Great. I'm very, very happy to share our experience. Like I said, we have helped a lot of customers move, and I'd be the first to say that we have learned as much from customers as customers have learned from us, right? Because, like I said before, every business case is interesting. Every customer is different. Every workload is different. We try to bring in our experience from the previous customers, but nevertheless, it's always interesting. I want to pick up some of the customers among our top customers based on geography, based on their cultural fit, right? Because this will give us a good idea of how different customers in different geographies plan the migration, going the theme of a planned migration. And definitely we have learned from them. We were fortunate enough to work with a large workload customer, a few years ago, before these larger migrations, tool-based migrations became common. And they were in the US. And what we learned from them, and which I've spoken about, is how they invested in the program management before even the technology part. The technology part is definitely complex, and that's very interesting, and that's something that needs to be paid attention to, and which is why you outsource some of it. But the program management takes precedence. They had our customer, they had in-house program managers who ran through everything. They did all the homework, and then they brought us as partners in to talk about the clouds, the other OEMs, what could be the best one. They spoke about what they have now, what they should have, what they wanted to have, what they would not get in the cloud at the time. And then they spoke about the assessment, and they said, look, how about our business? We cannot. And the important thing is they needed PCI compliance as well, which is one of the key things. And so the migration and the phased planning, and they identified the internal app teams, we had sessions as a partner with all the internal stakeholders and app teams, and we could work together. And we achieved the migration of about 400 servers in about 12 to 15 months, in about 3 to 4 phases. And I think this is a great story, right? Like I said, we really learned the importance of the homework and the planning and the project management before even we actually started the migration from that customer. Another interesting case, a very large financial services industry company in Thailand, in our own part of the world. They were very clear, the customer was clear that they would want handholding by the OEMs, and also from partners like us, but they wanted to make sure that they train the internal team. They were willing to spend the time upfront to identify core teams who would then, be shadowed, right? We would teach them how to migrate, they would shadow us, and then they would do the 50% of the migration themselves, and they would continue to manage that. So they wanted to make sure that they leveraged our experience and knowledge, but they were very clear on the objectives that longer term, with their complex workloads and their line of business, it needed to be done by internal teams. I think that was a great thing we learned from that customer, where they said, look, because over time, their response was very important. The response time and how they ran it and how they really invested more and more into that was very important. This is great. They built a team, internal team. And this took a longer time overall in terms of migration. They took about 18 months, but it's been very well worth it for them. Again, a slightly different experience with a large logistics company in India. They were willing to completely outsource the technical part of the migration, right, to us. But they were very clear about their objectives upfront. They had a timeline, they had a tech refresh coming, so they took action early on, and they knew that doing a lot of work internally would actually kill their time, waste time, or rather not waste time, but spend more time. So they got us in early and said, look, you're going to do this, but we have the timelines clear, and we want to do this because of cost. And they had they basically identified which are the complex workloads and said, we can do this first, so we know it works. And again, that's a different experience. So these are a few success stories I picked and chose from our customers in the US, Thailand, India. Working with whom was a pleasure, great learning for us. and we're really good success for the customers as well. And they have been great reference customers for us over the years.